Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Medicarelism, the podcast where we finally make Medicare make sense. I am your host, Saranes Lejulus. This show is dedicated to educating seniors, caregivers, and Medicare agents on how Medicare really works without the jargon, the confusion, or the sales pressure. Whether you're turning 65, already on Medicare, helping a loved one, or you an agent looking to sharpen your skills and better serve your clients, you are in the right place. Our mission is simple. We are here to empower you with clarity, confidence, and the right information so you can make the right and the smarter Medicare decisions. All right, let's get into today's episode. All right, so like I mentioned, we are here to talk about Medicare and make Medicare make sense. On today's episode, we are discussing the 6 Medicare tips for people who are turning 65. And what we want to do, we want to have a clear, no pressure starting point for understanding your Medicare enrollment window, your coverage options, and how to avoid costly penalties. And, most people become eligible for Medicare at the age of 65. So everybody knows that. You become eligible for Medicare at 65, and that's one of the ways for you to get Medicare. That's the most likely way for you to get Medicare. And for a lot of people, that is a milestone. And that the milestone is coming up for you if you are turning 65, or you will be turning 65 in the coming months. Now, there are a couple of things for you to know. And some of the things, here's what I believe you need to know so that you can walk into your Medicare enrollment decisions prepared and confident. Remember, there are 6 of them. So the first thing for you to know is that your enrollment window is limited. The first thing for you to know is that your enrollment window is limited. So when you become eligible for Medicare, Medicare gives you 7 months, give you a 7-month initial enrollment period. That's what they call the IEP. And usually that is built around your 65th birthday. That's 3 months before your birthday month, the month of your birthday itself, and then 3 months that follow the month of your birthday. For most people, enrolling during this window is the safest path, the safest option for you to get Medicare. The reason why, because it helps you avoid the late enrollment penalty. And for a lot of people, if you don't enroll within that time frame, the window that you are given, penalties could follow. And the penalties that follow for you, if you get a penalty and you have a penalty that follows during that time, then that usually stays with you for a lifetime, as long as you have Medicare. That will stay with you unless you qualify for a certain circumstance that allows you not to have that penalty. The penalty will stay with you unless you qualify to have it waived. All right, so the first option is, remember, your enrollment window is limited. Remember that. So if you're taking notes, the first note is that your enrollment window is limited. All right, tip number 2, you might be able to postpone your Part B. So in my experience working with people on Medicare, their biggest challenge or worries sometimes is that they don't know that they can actually postpone signing up for Medicare. Yes, you can sign up for Medicare, and there are ways for you to go about for you to sign up for it, and for you to qualify to postpone your Medicare Part B. And as you may know, Medicare has 4 parts. You have Part A and Part B. Those two parts are run by the federal government. And then you have Part C and Part D. Part C and Part D are run by private insurers, private companies, insurance companies. Now, Part A, that is your hospital. Part A is premium free for people who or their spouse, people who have paid into Medicare taxes for a minimum of 10 years. So which means if you work as a resident or as a U.S. citizen for a minimum of 10 years, or your spouse did that, you work for a minimum of 10 years and you paid into the Medicare system, then you are eligible to get Part A premium free. Now, Part B is your medical coverage, that outpatient services, doctors and other services that you may need. And usually that carries a monthly premium that is that in 2026, as a recording of this podcast, it will cost about $202.90. So let's round that and say $203. So $202.90, and we're going to round this up. Now, that is the minimum for a lot of people. Just know your Part B premium could be more. Part B premium could be more. It depends on your annual income the year you turn 65. So if you are within certain income bracket, your Part B premium could go up to $690. Again, rounding up. So right now it's a $689.90. So we're gonna round up, say $690 based on your income. So your income determines how much you pay for Medicare Part B. Now, if you are still covered through an employer or union plan, you may be able to delay Part B. And if you want to keep contributing to an HSA, the Health Savings Account, Part A as well. Just because, so let me go ahead and run this again. So if you are employed, you have coverage at your job, and it is what is considered creditable coverage, you can delay getting Medicare. You can delay getting Medicare Part A. For most people, they delay getting Part B, and you can also delay getting Part A if you are given the opportunity to contribute towards an HSA account, like a health savings account. All right, so just be sure you qualify for a special enrollment period first, so a delay doesn't turn into a penalty. So just know the one way that for you to avoid getting a penalty is that you are covered through your employer, or you do have a specialty. Now, if you are working past 65, your eligibility to delay Medicare coverage often depends on the size of your employer. So which means if you work for a larger company, usually that's a no-brainer. But if you work for a smaller company, the rules are different for smaller employers. So which means if you have the company you work for is a smaller company, you may not have that luxury to delay getting Medicare. So what you want to do, you want to confirm with your employer and the type of plan that you own. It's worth confirming the details of your specific situation before you decide to delay Medicare Part B and Medicare altogether. All right. So let's talk about the tape number 3. Medicare comes in 2 forms. So you have Part A, or I should say original Medicare, and then you have the Medicare Advantage options. So like I mentioned before, Medicare Part A, Part B run directly by the federal government. And then you have the Medicare Advantage plan. Oftentimes, most of the time, it is offered through a private insurer approved by Medicare or the government to offer Medicare Advantage plan. Now, every Medicare Advantage plan is required to match the coverage of original Medicare Parts A and Part B. And many of the plans, if not most of them, go further. They go above what you would normally get on Part A and Part B. So Medicare Advantage plan is what we call, or most people call, a bundled plan. The reason why it's called a bundled plan, that's because it includes benefits such as extra benefits like prescriptions, drugs. It includes dental, vision, hearing, even fitness benefits. So that's the reason why they usually call it a bundled plan. And tip number 4, we want you to know that Medicare prescriptions and extras aren't automatically covered. So when you have Medicare, original Medicare doesn't include prescription drugs. So think of it, original Medicare, that is Part A and Part B together. That's original Medicare. So because you have Part A and Part B doesn't mean you have prescription drugs. So you may have Part A by itself and you may have Part B by itself, and you can have them together, but it doesn't mean you automatically have a Medicare Part D or the prescription drugs. And to fill the gap, that gap, the prescription gap, you can add a standalone Part D plan. You can add a Part D plan, or you can choose a prescription advantage plan. So think of it this way. If you want prescription drugs, you can get a standalone prescription drug coverage, which is the Part D, or you can get an advantage plan that allows you to get coverage for prescriptions, and most of which build drug coverage in. So when you have an advantage plan, most of them do come with a prescription drug coverage. So a separate Part D plan, usually you don't need that if you have an advantage plan because the prescription drug is already included in there. All right. Enrollment. So option number 5. So tip number 5. Enrollment is not mandatory, but skipping it can be costly. It will cost you if you skip it, if you don't know what you're doing. Medicare, you are not required to enroll into Medicare. So Medicare is not required. However, if you pass on enrolling at the age of 65 without qualifying for a special enrollment period, so Part A, Part B, Part D, can carry their own late enrollment. So if you skip enrolling in Part A, Part B, or Part D, and you do not have the right special enrollment, or you don't have the right circumstance that allows you to do that, then most likely there will be a penalty that comes as a result of you skipping or not enrolling into Medicare. So that's what they call carry late enrollment penalty, and I can tell you for sure those penalties do add up over time unless you have a clear reason to wait. Enrolling at 65 is usually the simpler, safer move for you to do. So that is tip number 5. And the last one, tip number 6, is that help paying for Medicare may be available. So let's say if you're someone who may not have the resource for you to pay for your prescription drugs and you do have expensive drugs, there may be help that's available for you to do that. So to help you pay for Medicare. And there are a number of programs out there to help cover Medicare premiums, the out-of-pocket costs. And it's worth it for you to start checking your eligibility, even if you assume you won't qualify. So I believe what's the worst thing that will happen, right? So the worst thing that will happen, they say no. So you should, even if you think you're not going to get qualified, look for it anyway, apply anyway. Even if you think you're not going to get qualified, at least let them make that decision for you. Don't make that decision. So if you are in a position where you feel that you could benefit from getting help paying for your prescription drugs, or even paying for the Medicare prescription drug premium, Medicare Part B, I highly recommend that you go through the process of applying and go through the process. The worst thing that will happen, they'll say no, but at minimum, you will know. And most people who apply, usually they get it. And if you have any doubts on whether or not you would get it, apply anyway, because the benefits could 100% outweigh the application process itself. So apply anyways. So for example, that you could qualify for Medicaid. Some of the programs that are available for someone who needs the help called the Medicaid program, which is the state, you get it through the state. The Medicare Savings Program, which is, they call the MSP. And you do have the PACE, which is the programs of all-inclusive care for the elderly. And then you have the extra help, which is the drug cost assistance that's available for people. Now, in addition to that, you have the additional state-specific programs may be available at your local state health insurance program. So if you stay within your state, if let's say you don't qualify for any of the program, you don't qualify for Medicaid, extra help, the PACE program, another program, Medicare Savings Program, your last resort, or even one of the options that you have is to check with your state. They call it your local state health insurance assistance program. Oftentimes they do have programs that can help you with your Medicare prescription drug co-pays and also the premium that comes along with that, so you can get help paying for that. All right, so we want you to give yourself a head start. Giving yourself a head start simply means Medicare enrollment can sneak up on you quickly. Yeah, sure, I bet. You may not notice it, but it comes quick. And when you understand your timeline, what it does, it helps your coverage options. It helps you to understand your coverage. So there are a couple of things. You need to understand your timeline, understand your coverage options, and also the assistance programs that's available to you. Now means you will be ready to make a confident decision when your initial enrollment period arrives, so that you're not rushed, you're not pressured, and you can make level-headed decision as far as to which options, which route you want to take, because at that time you will not be rushed. The last thing that wants to happen, you don't want to be rushed. You don't want to make hasty decisions and decisions that potentially will cost you later on. So you want to make the decision that's right for yourself and your family. All right. So to finish, you have to know you do not have to figure this out alone. If you feel and you think Medicare is confusing, you're right. It is confusing. A lot of people have a hard time understanding it. There are many reasons Medicare can be confusing. Number one, because it changes over time. Every year you have something new that comes out. And even the government not requires, but they suggest or even recommend that you review your coverage each and every year. Obviously, if you need it, there are qualified professionals out there to help you out. And if you don't have someone that you're working with, we would love to work with you. And look below. Our contact information is available in the comment. And or you can send us a direct message, and we'll be happy to work with you. But there are qualified professionals that are licensed and appointed to help you specifically in your area. So be sure to find someone who's qualified and that that will have your best interests at heart. So every situation is different. Your work status, your current coverage, your budget, your health needs all shape the right path. A quick conversation can really save you from costly missteps, and wasted premiums. So what you need to know, again, to review, know your 7-month enrollment window. 2, understand if you can delay Part B. That's important. So if you are working right now, you plan to work for the months or years to come, make a decision. Can you delay your Medicare Part B? Number 3, compare original Medicare versus the Medicare Advantage plan. Now, which option you go with depends on your own lifestyle, medical needs, and so on and so forth. That's the reason why it's important to talk to a professional. But always compare the advantages of having a Medicare supplement plan, original Medicare, or the Advantage plan. All right, get the right prescription drug coverage. Very important. So it depends if you take all generic or if you have name brand, your current needs or possibly future needs. Those are everything that needs to come into place. And avoid the late enrollment penalties. And more importantly, check to see if you qualify for cost saving assistance. Well, my friend, that's all I have for you today. Again, if you need somebody to help, if you have questions, we would be happy to work with you. And be sure to send us a question, leave a comment, or you can go ahead and send us email directly. We'll be happy to get back to you. In the meantime, leave a comment, share this video with someone that you know. And by any means, if you have any questions, send them our way, and we'll be happy to work with you. Until next time, I am Sir Ernest Julius, and this is what we have for you today. See you next time. Bye.